Hello, Degrassi fans, and welcome to another episode of the Degrassi Kid Podcast. Today, we're going to be joined by a very special guest. Her name is Sam, and you could know her in several ways. She's a musician, she's toured with Prozac, she's a writer, she's the viral TikTok sensation Sam doll. She's done literally everything. But most importantly, Sam and I share a very special bond because she's also Annie Clark's best friend. And I don't know why I don't just call this the Annie Clark Podcast, like, let's be honest. But Sam has a really unique perspective on Degrassi, which I think you guys will really enjoy because she's friends with people on the show. She's lived out all of our fangirl dreams, partying with Eli and Imogen and Holly J, being roommates with the real-life Fiona Coyne. She's probably the only person you'll ever meet who's cooler than I am. I'm just kidding, but you are going to love today's podcast because Sam is the easiest person to fall in love with. We're going to talk about the time she visited the set of Degrassi. We're going to hear the raw tea on Annie Clark's on-set crushes, and Sam's going to give us her unique perspective on what it's like to watch Degrassi when you're friends with the cast in real life. And you're only going to get to hear these stories on the Degrassi Kid Podcast. Before we play the clip, there's 3 Degrassi plot lines that me and Sam are going to talk about, and I just want to catch you up. Prom night, when Imogen sabotages Fiona's future because she doesn't want Fiona to move away and break up with her. Student council, when an inexperienced Sav runs against Holly J, who was a shoo-in for the title, and Holly J finding out she's adopted because her kidneys start to fail and her blood type doesn't match the rest of her family. Now that we're all caught up, let's meet Sam.
Hi! You're a pleasure to share a best friend with, let me just say.
I think we balance our time well. Like, there's no jealousy, no competition.
We're both trying to kiss her, right?
We're just 2 friends trying to kiss Annie Clark.
I love it.
I thought we could talk about how you're an unconventional Degrassi fan because you didn't keep up with it while it was airing, but you watch it now.
Now I'm really into it, which is funny because my dog watches it when I go out because it's always on Bell 5 or whatever. So like when I leave my house, I put on Degrassi and then I'll get back from somewhere. I'll be drunk or I'll be after work and I catch myself just like watching it. And I'm like, what happened here? And then as you know, I'll message you and Annie being like, how did this crazy storyline end? And then Annie's like, I don't remember. And then thank God you're also in the chat and you're like, I know exactly how it is.
Yeah, I got you. And one of those plot lines was Imogen and Fiona at prom night. Will you please tell me your reaction to that story?
Annie and I were living together and I don't know, we'd always like get in random silly moods. And then she had the DVD of the prom episode. And then she was telling me something about Christine. And I was like, I don't remember what happened. She's like, no, remember prom? And I'm like, no. And she's like, I have this DVD. So we went into her bed. It was the afternoon and we got into her bed and watched that episode of Degrassi. I was literally bitching to Annie the whole time. I was like, is she serious right now? And then like, I probably saw Christine like a few months later and I was like, no shade, but Imogen sucks. And she was like, okay.
Oh my God, trust me. Every Degrassi fan wishes they could watch an episode and immediately be like, what is wrong with you?
What's funny is that wasn't even the first time I got mad at a Degrassi plotline. When I was running for student council president, this guy named Greg decided to run at the same time as me and like had never ran before. He was kind of like a funny guy and I was kind of worried about it, but I was also like, what the hell? Like I ran the year before and I was on the student council the year before and I was like all these things. So I was like, I'm a shoo-in for president. And if anybody else wants to run against me, that's kind of fun. But like this person made no sense and was just like, I want to run. So I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. When I found out that Ray was trying to play Holly J like that, I never forgave him to the point where like he would be at things, like he'd be at events and I'd be like, is Ray going to be there? No.
Oh my God. Most people watch Degrassi and go, wow, I really relate to this. But you're like, hold up.
Yeah, it was triggering when it came on. I was like, oh my God, Ray's just like Greg Snow coming for my crown, except I won. Thank God.
So basically you just went to Degrassi because you'd watch all their drama and then confront them in real life about it.
Oh my God. Yeah. From when Annie was like 21 and we were living together, all the Degrassi people would come to our house. I could not separate fact from fiction. It was like a running joke. I was like, get this asshole out of my house. I think it got to the point where Annie was like mad after a while because the joke went too far.
I can fully imagine Annie just being like, stop. And then there was a storyline with Holly J's kidney. And you actually messaged Charlotte Arnold about it?
I knew back in the day when it was actually happening that Holly J was getting dialysis. And I was like, oh, that sounds weird. Not going to tune in. And then my dog was watching it, and when I got home and I watched it, and then I get to that whole storyline where like I meet her mom. The original mom comes and is like, I'm not giving you the kidney, Holly J. And and then the episode ended. I was like, hold up. If someone said to me, oh, by the way, Holly J died on Degrassi, I'd be like, oh.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't know. So I was like, does this chick like die of kidney disease because her mom sucks? So obviously I had to message everybody. And what's funny is that Charlotte did not remember. I was like, yo, what happened to your kidney? By the way, I haven't seen Charlotte in years. Like, we follow each other on Instagram, but like we used to like see each other more often when like her and Annie were traveling together and stuff. But like at this point, I think it's maybe been 5 years since I've seen Charlotte, and just like unprovoked, just messaged her being like, yo, what happened to Holly J's kidney? And she was like, LOL, I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think that's the night we started the group chat with you, because I needed 2 people to get on that real quick. And Annie also didn't really know. She's like, I think I help get it. And then you were like, yeah.
Yeah, her mom's like, I know you're going to die and I abandoned you, but I want $20,000. And Fiona's like, okay, and secretly pays for it. Like, just casually traffics some human organs. Like, no big deal.
So they never hook up, right? Just in that dream sequence?
Just in that dream sequence, they almost kiss. And then there's a scene where Fiona grabs Holly J by the shoulders and she's so excited that she just kisses her on the lips. And that's it.
And then what does Holly J do?
Yeah, Holly J's just like, oh.
Yeah, especially since Holly J, you know, so involved with Annie's brother.
Yes, Annie's brother.
Oh my God. When Annie got Degrassi, actually 2 funny stories about this, which I think enough time has gone by where I'm allowed to tell these stories. When Annie got Degrassi, she was dating her high school boyfriend, who she was with for like 5-6 years or whatever. And they've been broken up now for 10 years, so I don't think anybody's going to be mad at me if I tell this story. But she did an audition and she was reading with Ben Lewis, who ends up playing her abusive boyfriend. What's his name on the show?
Bobby.
Okay. So she did a reading or something, like an audition with him. And she was like, oh my God, I had the hottest reader. Like, he was so stunning, like whatever. And we were in Florida. And she finds out while we're in Florida that her boyfriend on the next season is going to be this guy that she read with, who she was just in love with from the reading, didn't know anything about him, whatever. We go down the longest path of her future. We're like, oh my God, like, you have to leave Tom. That was her boyfriend. We were like, you're going to have to cheat on him. Sorry. That's the hottest guy we've ever seen.
Oh my God. I know exactly where this is going.
And it got to the point, like, we're going down this road for so long that it got to the point where we were like, okay, well, whatever. You know what? If you cheat on him, but then you end up having kids with this guy, like, no one's going to be mad at you. Like, yeah. And we catch ourselves being like, okay, we think we're going to have kids with this guy, whatever. So she's messaging, I don't know if she's messaging like her publicist or who she's messaging, being like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this guy and we're going to have so many kissing scenes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you know about him? What do you know about him? And then the first thing is, he's gay.
Yeah. So she's in that audition falling in love, just being like, this is the man of my dreams. And he's not even thinking about it.
Ciao to everything you know. You were like, perfect. You're going to start a new life. Like, you're going to be married to this man. And then
I love getting this tea. Me, when I found out Annie was straight, I'm like, well, there goes my chance. Okay. And you have a second story that's basically the same thing, but like even worse.
Oh yeah, this tea that I just think is funny is when Landon was cast to be your brother. She's like, oh, it's too bad the guy that's playing my brother is so hot and there's no scenario where we'd be able to kiss. And then Degrassi takes Manhattan. She gets the script and she's like, guess what? And we're like, are you kissing your brother? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, how? Because we were always saying, it's like, yeah, too bad there's no scenario where writers can make you make out with your twin brother. That wouldn't make any sense unless you found out that the brother wasn't related to you. How else could you swing that? And then she's like, they just did it.
Oh my God.
So that Degrassi Takes Manhattan, I went to the premiere. That's the only thing I saw like in its entirety, like when it came out.
And then they just never talk about it again. There's like one little joke about it and that's it.
What was the joke?
Someone tries to give her change and she says, I don't like touching coins.
And you're supposed to know that that's about Declan Coyne.
Oh my God, yeah. The Degrassi fans lost it.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. That's exciting. That's like an Easter egg.
Oh yeah, we loved it. There's also a story that I don't even know how to tell this story because it all seems ridiculous, but of a time that you visited the Degrassi set for me. Mm-hmm. Long story short, Degrassi got canceled, RIP, and they sold the set and everything inside of it. So they had an auction. The catch was you had to actually be in Toronto to pick it up, and I had no way to pick it up. But I thought if I just buy stuff, I will have to figure out something. So when I bought stuff and I was trying to buy little tiny stuff that someone could realistically pick up, I was trying to think of who could I ask that understands what Degrassi is enough to help me, but doesn't love Degrassi so much that they're just going to take my money and then take my stuff. Somehow in some world, I thought, well, Annie Clark's roommate. And I messaged you.
This is why you should just message people, because you never know.
And then you said yes.
Anybody that loves my best friend that much is a treasure to me. It's nice to have someone be that obsessed with your friend that they spend $400 on posters and shit. Obviously, I'm happy to pick them up. And I do have a car. I mean, how you had to get this stuff was so disorganized. So like I go and I had your receipt number or whatever. And it's like,
God.
I thought you like wait, they have like a box for you, you pick it up, whatever, and then you leave. No, you go through the whole set and you take these posters and shit off the walls based on a map they give you. So I didn't realize it would.
That I did not know.
No, it was a treasure hunt. It was insane. So like you park on the side, you go in, this whole set's getting deconstructed. I'm sure a lot of people were sad. And it was like me and like 10 guys that were clearly just like from offices trying to take all the desks and shit. Like I was the only one taking posters. Everybody else was taking like shelves. But anyway, it was so hard to find. It was like Degrassi, the set is like a maze. You've been to the Degrassi set, you know.
Mhm.
It just keeps going. There's all these rooms. So I'm like reading a map and it's like number 4 on the wall. And like number 4 is not there. So I'm like telling people, I'm taking other posters. Sorry, she paid $400. Like, give me something else then. And they were like, okay, so that's why you got a few posters that you didn't order.
Okay, I clearly asked the right person. That's amazing.
I know, I was swindling for you, man. I was all over it. Like there's 20 million posters on the wall. What am I supposed to do here? Like I'm just taking other ones then.
And then every message I got about it, I was like, oh my God, what have I done to this poor person who doesn't know me?
I was giving you some jokes live updates, but it was a funny experience because I saw it. They're like, okay, here's the one she wants. I was like, babe, I was like voice noting you over Instagram, like, Jocelyn, you are not getting these in one piece, ma'am. I don't even know if this shit's gonna fit in my car. Like, to put in perspective for the listeners how big the poster was, I drove like not a car, not a truck. What's the middle? Like a sedan?
Yeah.
It was from my trunk to between the two front seats. Like it almost hit the windshield from the back. Like it was huge.
Oh my God.
And it did not fold. Like it was massive.
When I got the box, it was huge. It was like huge. Like they had to get 2 people from Canada Post to come out and put it into my car. It was that big. And then I was pulling out these huge sheets that were still like 3 feet, 4 feet high. And I pulled out like 6 of them. And I was like, I did not do this. I did not send Sam. That's also,
you know what? You waited a good amount of time because you sent me to get those, but then I really did not send them to you for like a year.
Oh my gosh, that was fine. I just needed to know that they weren't going to go in the garbage. That's all I really need to know. I didn't care. Yeah. You could still have them. I knew you weren't going to like put them up and keep them. You know what I mean?
Definitely not.
The good thing is I did end up, because they were literally still so huge, I ended up cutting them down even smaller in the individual strips. So it was not a bother that they were cut at all.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
But how embarrassing retrospectively, because the only time at that point that we had even spoken is the last time I was in Toronto, I asked you for food recommendations. And my very next request is, hey, will you go through the maze of Degrassi, get these 40-foot posters in your little tiny car? You're like, yes, I will do that.
That made sense to me, honestly. Like that made perfect sense to me, and I was happy to do that. That was okay. I like doing shit like that.
Oh my God.
I know. And this is where my family gets cute. So I bring them all back to my parents' garage because I couldn't bring them all up the stairs to my apartment because it was like my apartment's like a 2-floor walk up, whatever. And the posters weren't paper. You couldn't even roll them. They were like thick Bristol boards. So I just unloaded all at my parents' house. I just could never, like every time I got up there, I'm like, how do I, like, you know, when you just don't even know how you're going to do something. I got back to my garage. My dad's like, what are you doing with all these Degrassi posters? And my dad ended up, while I wasn't there, cut them all up, put them in a box, paid FedEx to come to our house and get them.
Oh my God. Thank you to your dad. And thank you to you. Like,
you know what? My dad would just throw shit like that out, but he understood how important this was because he loves Annie. And he's like an old school, like Greek man. He would just be like, get this shit out of my garage and like put it on the side of the road. And every time I went home, I'd be like, you can't, Daddy, no. Oh
my God. Another thing you did for me that is so funny is you mailed me Annie Clark's personal dresses that she wore to like award shows. Did Annie know that you were sending those to me?
No, she was in LA. She ditched me. That bitch. She ditched me to move to LA and she left a bunch of shit in her room, like an absurd amount of shit in her room. And she told me I could sell it.
I love
Like
that.
she had like a bunch of like dresses. She has some shoes that I still haven't sold because I'm lazy. So anyway, I saw the dresses. I'm like, okay, am I really going to try and sell these dresses or should I just send them to Jocelyn directly?
I love it because I think it makes me seem crazy that I own her dresses.
Okay, yeah, it does. And I will send you more because I have more stuff that I just never ended up selling. I'll send you her shoes too. They have insoles in them. You can take them out and
Oh my god, I should get like a body thing and I should put one of the dresses on it with like her shoes underneath it and get like a cutout of her face or something. That would be incredible.
Yeah, and then I'll get you a lock of her hair and then some eyelashes and you can just go nuts.
This is perfect because she always says that I'm so normal at being obsessed with her. So I'm just going to slowly become less and less normal and see what she tolerates.
She's getting way too comfortable with you.
Yeah.
I think you need to.
Way too comfortable.
Yeah, I got to do something freaky. Like, why don't you send your clothes to her house? Switch the script.
I wore this while watching Chasing Pavements. Love Jocelyn. Out of you.
Which one is Chasing Pavement?
That's the one where she comes out of the closet to Holly J, who's doing dialysis.
Okay. Sorry, I was so focused on the dialysis, I didn't even follow the storyline.
Yeah, Fiona comes out of the closet. It literally changed my entire life. My entire life.
I know. This I definitely know. That's just so.
We love. That's why I literally got a line tattooed on my body. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, she's my girlfriend and she's gay, or
she's my girlfriend and she's gay. Yeah, I got that that inspired me so much that I came out of the closet, changed my whole life.
She's my girlfriend and get this, she's gay. Okay, no, it's I'm in love with her and she's a girl.
I'm in love with her and she's a girl. She says it to her mom first, and her mom is just like, "Oh, like you're amazing. We love you for exactly who you are." And then she tells Holly J, and Holly J is like, "Oh yeah, you're still my best friend. I'm so glad you figured this out." And then she tells another friend, and her friend's like, "Okay, whatever." And I was like, "You can be gay and it's fine."
And everybody was chill with it.
Everybody was chill with it. And then I came out literally the night that I watched that episode. I came out to my best friend for the very first time.
Whoa.
Clearly you don't listen to my podcast. Speaking of my podcast, this is the perfect time for Jocelyn from the future to step in and thank some Patreon supporters. First of all, my dad signed up at the Dot Cafe tier, which is great for those who just want to show their support. Degrassi CSI, Dave Wilson, Kat Giordano signed up at the Spirit Squad tier, and they get to listen to the podcast first. They don't even have to wait for it to come out on Saturdays. And the ultimate Degrassi fan tier, we're welcoming James Nixon, Najama Atokeen, Chrissy from Degrassi Daily, Brittany Bargy, and Adrian Merrill, who will not only get early access, they'll also get bonus content from this interview with Sam. Stuff that you won't hear on the regular podcast, like a time a Degrassi fan went too far in real life. And the next time Sam comes back, we're going to play a fun little game with the Patreon fans.
I want to do that thing where you tell me about Degrassi plot lines and I react, because I think that would be I really need to learn more about this show that changed your life so much.
So next time Sam's on the podcast, Patreon supporters can not only leave questions for her, but also we're going to play a fun game where Sam has to guess if Degrassi plotlines are real or if we've just made them up. So head over to patreon.com/DegrassiKid if you want to support the podcast and be involved in how the show gets made. But for now, let's return to my conversation with Sam. I want to tell you guys that I did not ask Sam to be a guest on my podcast. Both Annie and Sam, first of all, Annie forced me to start this podcast, and then the both of them were like, we're going to be your first guests. And they didn't exactly say this, but it was very much like, Jocelyn, Degrassi Kid, if you have any other guests on this podcast before us, we're going to beat you up. And like, my favorite thing in the world is straight girls who bully me. So here we are. Welcome to the Degrassi Kid Podcast. But the next clip I'm going to play for you is purely for my own ego. Sam's already mentioned a few times that the three of us are in a group chat on Instagram called the Annie Clark Fan Club, where we talk about Annie Clark and Degrassi. And anytime they message me in it, I just freak out because I'm a fangirl. So here's Sam and I chatting about our Instagram group chat with Annie Clark. One day I just ended up in a group chat with you and Annie. And I just, every time someone messages in it, I'm just like I can't even say anything. Like, I can't believe this is even happening.
You're good at responding to messages. You're very funny. That's why we like you. Annie will tell you that. Literally, the amount of times Annie and I start talking about you, we're like, if Jocelyn knew, like at New Year's Eve, we were talking about you. When we were watching the Kardashians, we were talking about you. At the Super Bowl, we were talking about you. Oh, just now, we were at a bar for our friend's birthday and we were talking about you again. And I'm like, can we hang out without talking about this chick? It's like comical.
Oh my God. Well, What do you say?
Well, we always say how funny you were. Like, it's usually like something happened. Like, it's usually like we're talking about you because like it's like, oh, did you see Jocelyn's TikTok? Oh, did you see Jocelyn's this? And then we go into like what a pleasure Jocelyn is to have as a number one fan. And then we always say the same shit in a row. Like, we don't know this. She'll be like, she's the perfect amount obsessed with me. And I'm like, yeah, agreed. Everything you want in a fan to Annie, like knowledgeable, funny, obsessed, but not weird, like self-aware, like not a freak. We love that in a fan.
I love that. This is great. My very first question was going to be, what's your favorite thing about me? And you just knocked it out of the park. That's amazing. Every guest I have on this podcast is not only going to have to tell me what they like about me, but also what they think Annie Clark likes about me. And of course, speaking of Annie Clark, you know it was her birthday last week. So when Sam and I did this podcast together, I asked her to say something really nice about her friend so I could put it in her birthday episode. It sounds so simple to accomplish, but here is me and Sam trying to record a happy birthday voice clip for our best friend, Annie Clark. Oh yeah, speaking of, before we leave today, I need to get a happy birthday note from you. And what's so fun is I messaged Ian just being like, hey, do you want to send one in? And I have like 7 people from Degrassi who have sent in voice clips.
Oh my gosh. So you want it to be a voice clip? Oh wait, I can just do that here.
You can just do that right here. Even if you want to do it right now, you can say happy birthday and then something nice.
Okay. Hi, Annie. Hold on a second. Is this coming out after her birthday?
This is coming out the week after her birthday, but I'm going to take this voice clip and put it in that one.
Okay. So I shouldn't reveal too much.
Right.
Okay. Hi, Annie. Happy birthday from your best friend, Sam.
Say anything nice about her, like why she's a good friend, or you love being her friend, or anything nice, or just hi?
No, I think that's enough.
Love that. That's perfect.
She likes when I glitch. She likes glitchy things like that. That shit makes her laugh. She likes when I don't know what I'm doing. That's like her favorite. That's when she likes me the most. For the record, I'm sure this is fine to share, but Annie told me she messaged Sam with these big sappy eye emojis being like, wow, your birthday message was so thoughtful. And then immediately was like, oh, sorry, no, I meant that for Christine. Christine played Annie's girlfriend on Degrassi, and she sent in a voice clip being like, Annie Clark's the love of my life, the reason I breathe, my favorite sunset, she's the moon to my stars, like just poured her heart out in this birthday message. And on top of that, Christine sent me another voice clip. I uploaded it to my Patreon page, by the way, of just being like, Annie's the reason I know what love is. And Sam's 5-second clip is like, hey, sup, love you, bud. But you know what? It was perfect. I could not have laughed more in my life than I did with Sam on this podcast. Just to put it into perspective, this podcast is 25 minutes long this week? Me and Sam were on FaceTime for an hour and a half and laughed so much that I couldn't even edit together coherent sentences from it. And we got so derailed that at one point, she hopped on Google Maps, and for 20 minutes, I gave her a tour of my hometown, which I'm like, I can't put that in, but it was amazing. I mean, Sam is so full of love that as a complete stranger, I sent her on a wild goose chase to the set of Degrassi, and she did not give up on me. Instead, she fought for me to make sure I got my Degrassi posters that were like 40 feet long. Like, Sam is a lover. And she does not need my promo at all, but her music and TikTok will be linked in the description. And my warning to you is that if you follow Sam on TikTok, you will fall in love with her. So be careful and visit at your own risk. And before we go, we're going to say a huge thank you to my longtime Patreon subscribers. Randy Carter, Kimberly Warren, Rachel Miller, Lucy Schwent, Steve Emerson, Brittany Brown, Stevie Jarawa, Ashley Atchley, Annie Clark, Max and Evie, who all subscribed as ultimate Degrassi fans. And I hope that next week I get to say your name in there too. But for now, let's say goodbye to Sam. Thank you so much for being a part of my podcast. This has been such a rewarding Zoom call. I feel like I've gained a whole new best friend. You have. Aw, we should just do this more fun.
Oh my god, yeah, literally anytime. But for now, love you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.